All right, welcome everybody to the PharmD Finance Show with Delaney from PharmD Financial Planning. So we have a fun talk today. Thank you to the Pharmacy Podcast Network for hosting us and Derek as well for the shows there. And our talk is going to be around. Say it for me again, Derek. I just forgot about being a nomad.
So financial considerations when becoming a nomad.
All right, so we will dive into this conversation. More of a lighter conversation on a Monday morning. We don't want to we did not want to be so serious this week, so we'll be right back. So this is not a stretch, because this is actually could be an actual something to consider for a young pharmacist, right? Traveling pharmacist. I have a friend that literally lived out of her car for a year as she traveled kind of the United States, implementing her program into different hospitals and clinics, right? So it's not that far off. Like, to me, I would think okay, I have a family, I can't do that, but there are a lot of people that this could fit into, Derek. So I'm kind of excited to see where this goes today, which I have no idea. So I'm kind of leaning on you on this one. So let's do
it. Yeah, so I think you're exactly right. It's not as far-fetched as people would think to believe, especially in 2023. And the primary reason for that is because we live in a digital world now. And for most people, even nomads, they have cell phones, they have a way of accessing the internet. So living that lifestyle while doing other things becomes a lot more realistic than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago. So much so that, Sean, if you had to guess, how many people in America do you think are or qualify as a nomad? Just throw a number out there.
5%.
Put it in a number form, though.
Put it in a number form?
Yeah. Do you think there's like 100,000 people in America living that lifestyle right now?
I mean, I could get out my calculator. I would say 1 million.
Okay. So good guess. It's actually around 7 million people now are qualified as nomads in America. So it's becoming more prevalent and it's becoming more well known, and people are figuring out ways to make that lifestyle work for them better and more efficiently than they ever have before. So it is definitely a relevant topic for a lot of people.
That's fascinating. I would have never guessed 7 million.
Totally. Wow. And the big thing holding a lot of people back is actually getting started. And one of the primary things that is tough to get over from a getting started standpoint is all the financial considerations involved in becoming a nomad at the beginning. So in this video, we could talk more about that, and I can highlight some of the key areas I think people should look at and plan for if they have a desire to create that type of lifestyle for themselves at some point.
No, let's do that. Can you go back to the classification? How do you classify yourself as a nomad?
So essentially, nomad is somebody who doesn't have a primary mailing address. Okay. And I'm sure there are other ways to describe that, but that's how I look at it. Somebody who doesn't have a primary place of residence. Where you live in California, I live in Minnesota. A nomad is traveling constantly and they have no primary stable source of residency because they're always moving from one place to another.
Okay, so how do you claim taxes?
That's really interesting. So it depends on where you earn your income, and there are specific rules with nomads that from a global standpoint, specifically on the foreign side of stuff, there are a lot of considerations involved. It's important for nomads to understand that they still have to or pay taxes if they earn income, even if they do it in different states. And if you find yourself becoming a nomad, I think it would be very, very beneficial to reach out and work with somebody who has experience working with those type of people, because that taxation aspect can get pretty complex pretty quick depending on what you're doing and where you're going and where you've been throughout a year.
Okay. Yeah. Fascinating. No, is that in your wheelhouse or not?
Yeah. I mean, I could talk about that. And anything I don't know, that type of stuff is researchable.
Yeah.
So again, you're going to want, and people could end up doing that themselves, but if you're a nomad, chances are diving into IRS tax code is not something you're probably going to want to be doing with your free time if that type of lifestyle is what attracts you, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good call there. All right, so reach out to Derek if you are thinking about being a nomad and you need help with taxes. Good idea. All right, now back to your kind of topics that you wanted to dive into here. Let's like start moving ahead on that.
Yeah. So high level financial considerations if this nomad lifestyle is one that you want to pursue. And the first one I think that everybody should take a look at right away is making sure your financial life is coordinated and aligned with that potential future lifestyle. So there are probably a lot of things in your life you're going to have to change in preparation for creating that type of life. And one of the things you're going to want to coordinate is making sure that you are at the correct in making full use of your current financial institution. So whether that's a bank, credit union, or something else, you want to make sure that you tell them what you're going to do and then make sure they have the services that you need in order to live that lifestyle. So for a lot of people who are nomads, they find themselves in a lot of low-key or locations in America that aren't as digitally evolved, where maybe they're going to have to deal in physical currency a lot more than they otherwise would have. And that means having a financial institution that could provide you with free ATM withdrawals could go a long way. If you're a nomad and you want to travel globally, finding a financial institution that can provide those banking services for you without things like foreign transaction fees could be very, very beneficial. So financial consideration one is making sure that the financial institutions that you're going to rely on along this journey have the services and provide the services that you need to maximize the nomad lifestyle you're going to experience.
When my wife and I, we got married, we went on a whim. We moved to Kauai for a couple of years. Did not know that there wasn't any Wells Fargos there, right? So when we got there, it was like, wait a second. Then, having to get a new bank and having to set all that up, that was like a total pain because I'd been a Wells Fargo member since I was like in college, for probably 15 years at that point, right? So it was just kind of like, maybe not relevant, but it's kind of like you have to do the research to know where you're going, right? So that is important to know that. Okay, keep going.
100%.
Yeah.
Financial consideration number two is aggressively create liquidity for yourself. So if you're a nomad, chances are you're going to be paring down your lifestyle quite a bit, which means there's probably a lot in your life that you are not soon going to need. So getting rid of a lot of that and turning it into cash for your future benefit could be extremely important. And the other benefit of creating liquidity aggressively is getting rid of assets in your life that you're not going to use that come along with their own expenses. And an easy example of this is vehicles for a lot of people, where if you have a car, but you're going to go hit the nomad lifestyle and a homemade RV, don't keep that car around and don't continue to pay taxes and insurance on that car. Sell it, get rid of it, take that cash, put it into your emergency reserve as a source of funds you can use later, while eliminating that expense of the car and everything that goes along with it from your budget while you're on that nomad path moving forward. So aggressively create liquidity, create a big pile of cash for yourself that you can rely on that journey, because that liquidity and cash is going to allow you to make instant decisions, and it's going to allow you the lifestyle flexibility that a lot of people appreciate from a nomad standpoint.
Makes sense.
Financial consideration number three is do your best to create some sort of reoccurring revenue source. Where having a big stack of cash to live off of is really, really good. But what's even better than that is having some sort of income source consistently while you're on that journey. And there are a couple of different ways people can do that. The first way that I see people achieving this is through affiliate links, where if you're going off in the nomad lifestyle and you're going to be driving around the country in a beat up RV, and you're going to have tools to sustain your lifestyle that are specific to the RV lifestyle, well, maybe you could set up a marketing affiliate link with a company that sells a lot of the tools that you're using, and you could promote those tools and shoot videos of you using those, which could inspire people to use your link to go out and buy it before they go on their journey, and you could collect income from that. Another interesting idea is if you're in that nomad lifestyle, you could always utilize, if you have internet capabilities, resources or websites like Upwork, where you can do freelance work every now and then and do things that you're good at from the comfort of wherever you're stationed in your nomad life, and earn that income and be done with it and move on to something else if you want. So finding a way to create some sort of income stream, whether it's consistently or sporadically, is going to help you continue on and maximize that nomad lifestyle.
I didn't hear any pharmacy related stuff in there. I'm trying to think because there's a lot of remote verification jobs that you can get, or there's a lot of remote jobs you can do in pharmacy these days. I know there's always a licensing issue, like you have to be reporting out of that site or a particular site that's licensed, and you have to be within a certain driving distance. So that, like, those I think would be out. But you could also, like, well, California is a big state, so you can drive up and down California, all you want if you're licensed there, or you just need to be licensed in multiple states before you do this and hit up the ones. Anyways, just more to think on that. Let me think on that one.
Yeah, and then I kind of have a follow-up to that. The next financial consideration we talked about before, it's just tax consequences of what you're going to experience. So I won't touch too much more on that. But the last financial consideration kind of goes into what you just said, Sean, and that is estimating your cost and planning out your journey. So a nomad lifestyle is supposed to be, for a lot of people, sporadic, where you're just going to go where the wind takes you. I truly feel that to maximize that, you should have some sort of game plan in the back of your mind of where you want to be, when you're going to be there, and what you're going to try to accomplish to make the most of your situation. And if you spend time planning that out and estimating your costs, you can pick up income sources along the way. Maybe you could create along your journey a map of independent pharmacies that are in really, really rural locations that could use part-time help for a 2 to 3 week period. And while you're in that area, you could fill in and help out in that regard. I don't know. Do you think that would be something that that somebody could end up doing with a pharmacy license?
Yes. I mean, well, yeah, if you're licensed in that state, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And if you plan out your journey and you estimate where you want to be, when you want to be there, and what you want to do, you can kind of fill in the gaps around that game plan and do stuff like we talked about. And if creating some sort of income along the way is going to be a lot easier to achieve when you have all those other variables figured out. So if you know you're going to be rolling through Texas and you're going to be in Texas for a long period of time in a specific area, get licensed in Texas and see if you can't pick up some part-time hours here and there at random places. It doesn't hurt to check and ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. Well, in Texas would be good too. I think of my grandparents that were snowbirds going from Minnesota down to Texas or Minnesota down to Arizona every other year, and pharmacists can do that. I mean, I've been all over the place in the Southwest just because I was able to get licensed and transfer those licenses and things like that. And it's been fun. So it's like, it is possible.
It is, which with just a little bit of planning, I think it's very doable for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And nonetheless, even if it's not, it's worth exploring as an option, because from that, maybe other unique opportunities will arise that you weren't thinking of to begin with.
Yeah, fascinating. All right, Derek. I mean, anything else you want to touch on this topic? I mean, this is kind of maybe we could inspire some younger pharmacists to do this. Like I'm tapped out. I cannot be a nomad. That'd be pretty bad for the family. They wouldn't be too happy with me if I did that. But maybe when we're older.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of what we talked about today can be used in regards to extended vacations too.
Oh yeah.
If you're a pharmacist and you're getting burned out and you just want to get away for 6 months and you want to do something, but you don't know what, maybe using the tips we talked about today can help you build out a very fun and relaxing and rejuvenating long-term vacation. So
I like it.
I think it applies to a lot of different areas. If you're looking to get away and do something out of the traditional lifestyle a lot of us have created for ourselves up to this point.
I like it. It's great. Yeah, get people thinking.
Definitely.
Awesome. All right, Derek. Thank you again, my man. We'll see you next Monday. Actually, no, we will not see you next Monday. Next Monday is Memorial Day, so we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the holiday weekend coming up.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.